Camp is camp. It's tough, but it's for me to want to push myself. This is what I do, this is what I live for. I'm ready for battle. I feel like I'm getting stronger, and I feel by the time the fight comes, I'll be at peak performance.
One more. One more. Beautiful, good. That's what we've got to bring him on to. Nobody can take them.
It's unbelievable how far and how wide sports can take you and the things that you get access.
Still trying to convince people that he's a legitimate boxer. He's not a legitimate boxer. You've picked someone who was a professional boxer, whose dad was a legend of professional boxing. You might as well.
You watch Anthony Joshua enter training camp with that same icy focus that once made him the most feared heavyweight on the planet. There's no laughter, no casual energy, no sign that he's treating Jake Paul as a circus act. From the way he moves, the way he speaks, the way he attacks every drill, you see a man approaching this fight with the seriousness of a title eliminator, not a sideshow. When he lands in Las Vegas, the shift is obvious. He sounds clearer, lighter, reinvigorated. He talks about mindset, discipline, the hunger returning.
The second leg of the training camp. I'm feeling energized, I'm feeling refreshed. So yeah, come inside, have a look what's going on. Tough training, tough lifestyle, rough and tough. But listen, how else would I want it? I love it. So what am I bringing differently? I wouldn't say a new mindset, but definitely like a new perspective. But ultimately, everything new has to lead to a win. So yeah, that's what I'm focused on right now, just winning. With training camp, it's grueling, like there's no doubt about that, but you just need to have a clear mind and be optimistic and run towards challenges every day. And that's how I'm able to get through, is just the perspective I have on what suffering looks like. There's a certain standard that one has to have if they want to achieve certain things. I am working past efforts, measures that I set out for myself. Yes, it's tough. Yes.
You see a veteran who knows exactly what camp demands: pain, repetition, sacrifice, and he welcomes it. Even in a matchup as surreal as this one, he treats it like any other mission. Prepare, refine, execute, no distractions, no shortcuts. And that's where the tension begins. While Joshua sharpens himself like a man climbing back into world title contention, Jake Paul arrives from boxing's new universe, one built on showmanship, disruptive marketing, and fearless ambition.
Ring Magazine, Anthony Joshua, your man, and Jake Paul are finalizing a deal for a December heavyweight fight in Florida. True or false?
I mean, the gun was jumped a little bit and fired early. There have been conversations. For us, we were flirting with the idea of having this little 8-round fight this year. Not with Jake Paul, by the way, because he was fighting Gervonta Davis.
Yeah, that's no.
But we were going to go on a other card somewhere. You wouldn't have really heard of the person we were going to fight. But AJ wanted to go through the motions, wrap the hands, and just gear up to what is really in the works with Turki Al-Sheikh, which is 2 fights in 2026, and that includes Tyson Fury. That's the plan for Turki Al-Sheikh. We received a phone call from Nikisa Baldirian, from MVP, who, by the way, we've spoke to a few months before talking to us about the fight, and he said, look, would you want to fight Jake Paul? And I said, listen, I don't want to just be a publicity muppet for you, you know, telling everybody that you offered the fight to Anthony Joshua. If you're serious, we can discuss the numbers, and if there's a chance for us to run out in December and, you know, take care of this bloke and get him out of the boxing world and make several tens of millions in the process, of course, we will consider it. And that's basically where we are at now.
And do the numbers stack up?
Of course, I mean, like, you know, it's difficult to have this conversation.
He has fought former champions, taken criticism head on, and built a fan base that refuses to disappear. And whether it's confidence or delusion, Jake Paul genuinely believes he can beat Anthony Joshua. Behind closed doors, promoters whisper that the talks are real. Numbers are in motion. Networks smell a global event. Fans see chaos. Analysts see danger. And you see a sport caught between two worlds. Legacy versus spectacle, competition versus power, entertainment.
Extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. You know, I've got the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please, AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua. I think that's the only reason we're going to see this fight. But I truly believe you're going to see
Anthony Joshua 50-50 fight. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I just said in another interview, great if it is. I mean, if it is, then you've got no problem seeing it. But when AJ, I mean, decapitate's a strong word, but you know, when he renders Jake Paul unconscious like he did to Francis Ngannou, don't then say, oh well, it was Jake Paul. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when AJ beat Francis Ngannou, Ngannou just had a fight that could have gone either way with Tyson Fury. Then AJ poleaxed him, and everyone just said he's just an MMA fighter. Do you know what I mean? Jake Paul's not Francis Ngannou. But as I said before, if you want to see Jake Paul exit the boxing world,
It's the entertainment business, and Anthony Joshua is an entertainer, and you can't undo the fact that he won the world heavyweight championship twice. And he fought in some great fights.
So why does he need this?
Because he's in the business of entertainment. And if an opportunity is presented to him and someone wants to say that we can monetize this to the huge levels that are potentially available, why wouldn't you? It's a walk in the park.
You see, you're not having Saturday night.
Because I know
many people wouldn't have this.
Well, I'm not having,
because this isn't a proper fight where a Saturday night is.
But I don't think this is a proper. I don't think that I would ever consider having a debate about whether Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul is a proper fight between two bona fide champions. I think Jake Paul is someone that's creating a lot of opportunity for himself and using sport as the anchor for it. And will I watch it? No. And do I value it? No. But when I'm asked to be confronted with a fight between two legends' sons and then get involved in all of the nonsense that goes.
Then Eddie Hearn drops the truth with the bluntness of a man who's seen too much. This wouldn't be an exhibition. No headgear. No gimmicks. A fully sanctioned heavyweight fight. He calls it extremely dangerous and a catastrophic mismatch, yet he admits why the offer sits on the table. Joshua can make tens of millions for a night's work, and Jake Paul can chase the most shocking upset in modern boxing history.
Yeah, but quickly, I watched Jake Paul the weekend. I feel a bit dirty saying that because I'm not a fan of his, but he did say after the fight that he's sort of having DMs or he's dropping text messages to AJ. They're having a chat about a potential fight. What's your view on that, Eddie?
well, look, he's calling out Gervonta Davis, who is a 135-pound lightweight, and he's calling out Anthony Joshua, that's a heavyweight monster. I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul. Hopefully not literally, but it's that dangerous that, you know, it's a fight that I don't think should really happen, if I'm honest. I would say about Jake Paul, and I've said this in a couple of interviews today, I do think you start after giving him a margin of respect. You know, I think this guy is going through the motions, he's putting the hard spars in. He just went 10 rounds with, yes, a washed-up fighter, but a former world champion that did train for that fight. But they're very clever in terms of the opponents that they pick. They're not going to gamble unless the money's out of control. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul, wanted to move forward with an Anthony Joshua fight. Honestly, AJ's coming tonight. He's not exactly looking at Jake Paul going, oh, that's my dream opponent. No. Would he go in there and give him a hiding for, you know, a massive chunk of money? Probably, I'd be saying.
Analysts don't hold back either. Some call the idea reckless. Others call it irresponsible. Many question why a naturally smaller, late-starting boxer should ever be allowed to share a ring with a former unified heavyweight champion. They remind everyone that Jake Paul is not Ngannou, not Usyk, not even close to a natural heavyweight. And if he gets hit clean, there's no guarantee he gets up. But another side of the debate speaks louder with every passing day. The business side, the numbers, the reality of modern boxing. Jake Paul brings attention that traditional stars rarely generate anymore.
The kind of returns that they're going to get for the level that they've operated in their careers. And that's one of my issues around the Conor Ben Eubank fight. This fight over here with Anthony Joshua, I know what this is. No one can dress this up. This is a turd that will get polished into a huge pile of money. And if you know that from the outset,
yeah.
So I don't have any illusions about it. Neither does anybody else. Nobody thinks that this is a real fight. Nobody thought, I mean, Spencer tried his very level best and will never try it again to convince us that Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. Yeah. Well, this is something similar, but for different reasons. Anthony Joshua is still a live heavyweight, and if he hits Jake Paul's going to get hurt. Yeah. And some people might think that's a good thing to happen to him, so learn his lesson. But he is also now fighting. He's got a fighter's license, and the question should be along the lines of what Chris Eubank Sr. was raising. Is it right? Is this appropriate that a high-performing, supreme athlete like Anthony Joshua, whose only real challenges now are probably in his mind, because physically he can operate at the highest level if he still chose to, should be stepping in against someone like Jake Paul that does not have the skill set to deal with the kind of power and expertise that Anthony Joshua has, and should boxing be sanctioning this? This is the bigger question.
Oh, that's true. That is true. Having said all that, Netflix tell us 60 million households worldwide tuned in live to see Mike Tyson take on Jake Paul. Why would Jake Paul end up fighting?
Mentioned earlier that Anthony Joshua still didn't have an opponent for his next fight, but he was thinking of still fighting before the end of the year. And we've got some breaking news for you now, because we're hearing that AJ is in talks with Jake Paul over a deal for a heavyweight fight in Miami next month. Of course, the YouTuber Paul has already fought the former heavyweight champion of the world, Mike Tyson, and beaten him. And he's now in talks with Anthony Joshua with a view to the two of them fighting in Miami.
Tens of millions watched him fight Mike Tyson. Millions more follow every move. And in a sport driven by money, eyeballs, and global streaming power, it's no wonder promoters want to strike while the iron is scalding hot. Then you hear from the fighters themselves, men who've lived inside the ring. Some laugh at the idea and warn that Joshua ends it brutally. Others caution AJ that boxing punishes complacency, and Jake Paul is reckless enough, hungry enough, confident enough to take risks most fighters wouldn't dare.
Jake Paul, you've lost your mind if you think you can go toe-to-toe with Anthony Joshua. Listen, let's not get confused, guys. Let's not get confused. Yes, cool. Anthony, he took a big L with Daniel Dubois. But Daniel Dubois is not no joke, bro. He's not a joke. Do you know what I'm trying to say? He took an L there. But Jake Paul, I got the utmost respect of what he's done, how he's managed to navigate through the boxing world. Like, bro, it's so mad. And I can see this is like a 90%. It's happening. It's positioning, it's marketing already. Like, why would you see Jake Paul go face-to-face with Alexander Usyk if it's not to position for a fight for Saudi? Obviously, Jake Paul's going to fight Anthony Joshua. There's possibly going to be a Usyk against Tyson Fury 3, because obviously the last two were so close. But you never know. It can also be a Usyk against Derek Chisora.
Change subjects just a little bit here, and Anthony Joshua, there's rumours circulating he could be fighting Jake Paul next. One, do you think it's good for boxing? And two, do you think the fight will happen?
I think it's great for boxing. I think the fight will happen. AJ is 1-0 against these guys that come in to these boxing careers late. So why not? He's a perfect guy to take him out too. He took Ngannou out. Why would he not take Jake Paul out? And for him, he'd probably make more money fighting Jake Paul than he will fighting anybody else that he can fight right now. So why would he not do it? I mean, not that he needs the money right now anyway, but if he's going to do something, if he want to get a good win to put him back on the scene, that's the problem.
Does he really want to smoke? I mean, he's got to be an idiot if he does, because Anthony Joshua, let's use this as a comparison. Francis Ngannou called Anthony Joshua out after pushing Tyson Fury the way that he did, and he looked at that and he went in there and he iced him in 2 rounds. Francis Ngannou versus Jake Paul, you got to go heavily on Francis Ngannou, haven't you? So what's going to happen to poor Jake Paul if he boxes Anthony Joshua, this Olympic?
A few even give Jake credit for his discipline, his conditioning, his willingness to grind, but they all come back to the same point. Dedication doesn't erase the gulf between a world-class heavyweight and a man who took up boxing as an adult. And as the discussion escalates, a bigger question emerges. What would this fight actually mean for the sport? For Joshua, it's easy money and valuable momentum before real challenges in 2026.
Breaking story on Ring Magazine. Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul are finalising a deal for a heavyweight fight on Netflix in December in Miami. Sources tell the Ring Magazine's Mike Coppinger. What do you make of that?
Well, Anthony Joshua was talking about wanting warm-up fights before going into bigger fights, but look, it's prize fighting at the end of the day, and the way that Joshua will see it, and Matchroom and all the team, the fans won't like this, by the way.
I don't like it.
No,
either.
I don't like it either. But the way that Joshua will see it is as a money grab. He'll see it as an easy money grab. But at this stage of his career, is it a fight he should be taking? Nah, definitely not.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be licensed.
Taken, and 2 of his losses are against Alexander Usyk. Usyk weighed in at 220 pounds for those fights. Jake is not Usyk, a lot more years of experience needed to get to that level, but Jake walks around between 208 and 210, and he fought Mike Tyson at 228 pounds. So I think size-wise, we can get comfortable with it, and I think experience-wise, Jake is learning very fast and growing, and Joshua is a little long in the tooth. So it could be a very interesting matchup, and we're actively discussing it with Matchroom.
Don't put it past Jake Paul. Anthony Joshua, as much as he's a monster, he's got a weak mind, hasn't he? So Jake could end up getting into it, because Jake's got everyone eating out the palm of his hand. He's a very clever man. So
you really think he's got a chance?
Why wouldn't he have a chance? Look how confident he is. I mean, come on. Like, Anthony would have all the pressure in the world, and if Anthony didn't do him with the first few punches, he'd start doubting himself in his head, because that's what he does. But no, Anthony should win, shouldn't he? But
what do you make of Tyson Fury saying that he's going to put $1 million bet on Jake winning by knockout?
Tyson to leg it, lad. He's retired about 50 times. What's he on about, mate? Just tell him to leg it, and I'd love him. If he walked in here, I'd obviously...
At one point, you were good friends.
I'm still good friends, but obviously if he walked in here, I'd act like I'm not talking about him, but then on the camera I'm talking to him. Is this not what we're on?
Fair enough.
Is everyone not fake, or no? We all... What are we on here? Are we all acting like we don't hate each other? Like, come on. Like, what?
You're on absolute...
For Paul, it's the ultimate leap, either the greatest upset of the era or the moment he finally meets the limits of ambition. For boxing, it could be a historic event or a cautionary tale of how far the sport is willing to go for spectacle. If Joshua versus Jake Paul becomes reality, the world will tune in. The hype will explode. The risk will sit squarely on one man's shoulders, and the spotlight will be irresistible for the other. So the question becomes simple. Is this a legitimate fight, or the biggest spectacle boxing has ever dared to create? Drop your thoughts below.